We are gathered here today to remember Sandra Sandy Lynn Palmer. Sandy was born September 4th, 1962, to Fred and Sylvia Jean Coger of Bolaire. Sandy was a doting wife, mother, sister, aunt, and friend. All those that had the pleasure of knowing Sandy knew the enormous amount of love that she had to give. Although Sandy's life was cut short at only 56 years old, she lived every moment to the fullest. I'm up here today to talk about the impact that Sandy had not only on my life, but of all those she came into contact with. Standing here today in front of all of you is important to me because it gives me the chance to explain Sandy in the many ways that helped mold me into the woman that I am today. Sandy was the first actual... Sandy was what you would call the life of the party. If there was a dance floor, you could bet your bottom dollar that she'd be the first one on the floor and the last off it. There was a time that we were at the Webster Springs Volunteer Fire Department ball when I was a little girl. Sandy was constantly dancing, having a blast. She went to take a little break and freshen up when she instantly came back out to boogie. It wasn't until the song was halfway through that I saw her dress tucked into her pantyhose, showing everyone her bloomers. I would have been horrified. But unlike me, Sandy laughed about it for days. That was one of the traits of Sandy that I had always yearned for, to be so confident in my own skin that I would be able to laugh at myself. Although she never did pass that trait to me, she taught me how to perfect a mean electric slide. Sandy's life was far from perfect, but somehow she made the imperfection seem seamless. Her courage, strength, and diligence to be a devoted and loving mother are few of the many reasons Sandy deserves this tribute. In the mid-'80s, Sandy and her husband Larry were expecting a baby. It wasn't until she was 6 months pregnant that she found out that the baby wasn't going to live long after birth. Sandy had to do the unimaginable and carry her baby to term and deliver him naturally, all while knowing that the baby wasn't going to make it. Trying to conceive after that was a struggle. After numerous specialists and treatments, every pregnancy test she took would always turn out negative. Seeming like they couldn't conceive, Sandy devoted much of her time to her nieces and nephews that had the pleasure of calling her auntie. Many of my firsts were with Aunt Sandy and Uncle Larry. My first plane ride, my first trip to Disney World, my first time riding a boat, and so much more. To say they spoiled me would be an understatement. On January 31st, 2001, Sandy and Larry had their miracle baby, Bailey. Although I had siblings, this was the first actual taste of sibling jealousy that I felt. I was used to sharing my parents, but I always had Sandy and Larry to myself. So when I went from Barbie Dream House to the clearance aisle for toys, it was a big adjustment. Thanks a lot, Bailey. Not long after Sandy had Bailey, she decided to quit her job at the bank to go to nursing school to secure a better future for their family. This is yet another example of the courage she had, going back to college at 43 years old. Sandy would be extremely proud of the young woman Bailey has become. Sandy raised an intelligent, kind, beautiful, and strong young lady. When I look at Bailey, I see Sandy, her looks, mannerisms, and strength. Speaking of strength, the biggest battle Sandy would ever fight was when she was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer in 2015. I can remember the day she found out she had cancer. I was getting up for work and I was about to head out the door when she told me that she was diagnosed with cancer. Utter devastation coursed through my veins. And without missing a beat, Sandy said, "But it is going to be okay. We are going to fight this." Although Sandy was the one that received this dreadful news, she was the one that was comforting her loved ones. Sandy has always been the one to put others before herself. Never once during her battle did I see her break down, question God, or give up. One of the last things she said on this earth was, "Guys, I'm not giving up yet." The day that Sandy passed on, she made me promise a couple of things: to take care of Larry and Bailey, and to go back to school for my RN degree. I promised Sandy that I would do both of those things, and I knew that I would always take care of Larry and Bailey, but I wasn't sure why she made me promise to go back to school. It wasn't until I was actually enrolled in school that I realized why she made me promise that. Sandy was always the one to push me in the right direction, and she knew I would be lost without her guidance. By making her that promise of going back to school, it was her way of pushing me forward, even though she wouldn't be here to see me actually do it. Sandy's life was far from easy. From losing a child, struggling to conceive, to her unfortunate diagnosis of breast cancer, she never once gave up. Although I can't see her physically, I can feel her all around me. The day Sandy died, the world dimmed, but heaven became so much brighter. I want to thank you, Sandy, for showing all of us that are here today to celebrate you what strength, courage, and unfailing love is. Your presence will shine on forever.